Not really in the middle. I was scared of that. But if I start from this side, these probably won't be in the middle. Oh well. First hole drilled. Got a late start this morning. I'm kind of anxious. It's pretty tough on the drill battery. I don't know if I'm going to get all 8 of them drilled with that battery. It's the only one I got. I didn't bring the charger. I got this stuff called R-Guard Fast Flash. I got this from my son, and this was an open tube. So I just cut the end off because it was kind of, the pointy end was all cured. But this is what I'm going to use to seal the bottom of these columns to make them try to last a little longer. I think this is going to be just fine. Yeah, how about that? That's gonna work. So when I poured these front 4 concrete posts, I made the hole a little extra bigger, and I scooped out some in the front, so this column is gonna sit on this concrete right here and then bolt up to this. Let's see how it fits.
So I didn't show it on the first column, but before I drilled, I spent some time getting the column plumbed side to side. Front to back, it's just tight to the 4x4, which I plumbed when I placed the concrete around them, and they're still pretty good. But side to side is a pretty good bit of play that you can go either way. And I got them straight and clamped them off before I drilled the hole. Holes, plural.
Okay, column number 2. The bottom is sealed up with this fancy stuff, which I kind of like it. It's like a liquid rubber. And the holes are drilled, and we'll stand it up and beat the bolts in and cinch it down. First one went really well, except trying to drill with that bad bit, and it's plumb in both directions. So this is going good so far. Knock on something. I've got one bit that works really well. That's this one. I've got one bit that really won't hardly work at all. So what I'm doing is taking this bit, I'm drilling from the outside, and it comes to about right here on top and bottom, and then I'm moving the pink post and drilling it the rest of the way. And because we're dealing with wood, if it's not perfectly aligned, it's going to still go in there. If this was a metal structure, it may be an issue, but it's not. I cleaned my truck yesterday. I took out my ratchet set thinking I wouldn't need them anymore. Sure would be handy. Just turning that bolt with this wrench in that confined area is like 1/6 of a turn of pop. Oh well, only got 2 more to do. The last one. So next on the list will be to add this outside joist. It'll be, I don't know, 1.5 inches back from the ends of these, and it'll have to be kind of a tight fit. Toe-nailed into the columns. I didn't get any special brackets or anything. I mentioned last time I was nailing every other nail, and this is what I meant. Instead of 2 nails in this joist and 2 nails in this joist, I just went back and forth I'm gonna leave it like that. I think that's gonna be plenty. But on this outside edge, these boards will be subject to rain and maybe a little sun, and they'll be wanting to twist. So I'm gonna have to nail 2 nails in every single one, but I got another box, so should be good. I nailed a block on each end, 5 1/4 inches long. Structurally, it's not really gonna do anything for me, but it's gonna make it a whole lot easier to get this joist under there and get it straight and lined up. And I got 4 more for the other openings.
So I have a nail gun. Actually, I have several nail guns, and I have a small air compressor that will run off of the little generator that's sitting in the back of my truck. But for this twisty, nasty, corrosive southern yellow pine, treated southern yellow pine, there's nothing like a 16-penny hot dip galvanized straight lock to try to keep them in order, to try to keep them laying flat. They do not like to behave. They want to twist and come up. And I've found that decks shot down with gun nails, that is just not the same as a good old hand.
I tell you, I'm so used to doing things wrong and having to redo things. When something goes right, I'm surprised. Anyway, this went right. And if there was any flex before between this joist and the ends of the deck board, there's not now. 2 more to go.
These 6x6, they were floor sills, came from a house in the neighborhood. They were tearing down. Pretty sure they're not cypress, there's pine, because they had some powder post beetle damage in them. So I don't think the powder post beetles would dig into cypress. But anyway, I'm putting them here where they will not be exposed to weather, and I'm confident they'll last my lifetime plus 20 years. Fairly heavy. They're not particularly straight. They're not particularly uniform. They're pretty rough. I had to recut the joints on the ends. The ends were where most of the damage was. They have a lot of hatchet marks. There was a lot of work going on back then that was still done with hatchets whenever this house was built. I really don't have a clue. But I like them. I like the rough. I like the cabin feel. It makes it a little more challenging to get things to line up when you're not dealing with nice straight things like the redwood columns, like are perfectly straight. These are pretty whopped. But we're going to get them up there, and that's going to be the support for the rafters. Check out that blue sky. It has been absolutely perfect for the last couple of weeks. We could use some rain, but the temperature and the clear skies is just beautiful. It makes it so much nicer to work outside when the weather's like this.
Well, we have a serious warpage issue. That end goes up. I saw the warp. I didn't know how rigid it would be. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it out. I kind of doubt it. I may have to cut the top of that column just a little bit. The top of that column just a little bit. But I'm just going to think about it for a while. That thing's heavy. All right, so the column columns are straight across the top because I pulled a string on them, so the beam is warped because it's an old beam. So it was up just a little over an inch here, and this is a little less than halfway from the end. So if I cut a ½ inch off the top of this column, it's going to be pretty close. I think I'll cut it in place with my handsaw. I got a brand new handsaw, so it's pretty sharp, and it's redwood, so it's pretty soft. So I'm just going to grunt and cut it in place by hand. That way I don't have to take the stinking beam down. That's a lot better. It wasn't as easy as I thought it'd be, but that's a lot better. I'm gonna toenail a couple of nails in it to keep it from falling off. I'm gonna need to get some sort of fasteners because the uplift on this during a thunderstorm is gonna be tremendous. The roof's gonna want to blow away, fly back to my yard in Baton Rouge. So it needs to be held down securely, probably with something more than just nails. But I'll throw a couple of nails in it to keep it for the next few days till I come back. It's a new morning. I haven't solved my hold down problem to hold the beam down to the columns, but I did bring some big straight locks. So I'm gonna put 2 of them here, and then when I overlap this beam, I'll put 2 to tie these 2 beams together. But eventually, I think I want to put a flat metal plate on the outside with anchors coming in. Just it needs to be held down securely, so when the wind blows, this thing will stay put. I'm gonna cut this piece of fiberglass structure into 2 beam clips for the 6x6 beams that run back and hit the tiny house structure. It's not really going to be a structural element, but I don't want it to be too flimsy. It's more to hold up the screen wall than anything else. Anyway, I don't want to screw it right into the, I don't want to screw the beam directly into the sheet metal, and I don't want to cut a hole in the sheet metal for water to leak in. So I'm going to screw this to the sheet metal and let the beam sit on this like just a clip. I'll go outside and cut it. So this end post is 2½ inches from the edge of the deck. Assuming my deck is square, which it may or may not be. So I came over 2½ inches from the deck board, and I went straight up and put a mark on the blue tape. And I used blue tape because you absolutely cannot get a mark to stay on this sheet metal except for a Sharpie. And then with this nice lightweight board, I leveled straight across. Ooh, and I almost made a mistake. I'm getting ready to make a big mistake. Put to 4-foot level, and this is the bottom. So this is level with the top of that joint, but not the bottom. I'm measuring from the joint, not the bottom of the beam, so I'm 3 inches too high. But I can fix that. Unfortunately, I already drilled a hole. So this plastic bracket is going to go here, and it's going to hold up one of these beams for now. Eventually it'll have several posts under it, because when I do the screen wall, the screen needs support. But for now, this is what's going to be holding up the beam, tying the beam to the teeny house. And if I put lag screws through these holes, I don't know whether it's just going to crush this tin or not. I may have to, I don't know, I have to do something. But I'm going to try to get this bracket on here and get this beam set. And I know it's not going to be super strong yet, but eventually it will be. So bracket is on. It's pretty tight. It did try to crush the siding a little bit, but it's pretty stout. It's going to do its job for now. So now I can get the beam measured and cut it out of one of these long ones. Tell you what, I hope these are in the right spot because I don't think they're ever coming out. Oh my goodness, you had to beat the crap out of these things to get them in. I got some faith in their hold down ability. So I set this bracket the same way as the other one. I measured off the deck, 2.5 inches, went straight up, got the height with a 4-foot level. And I realized I've never squared the deck up. It kind of scared me. I might be 3 inches out or something. The whole deck was built using this homemade square, this 3-4-5 triangle. And so just for fun, I pulled the tape from the outside of the pink column to the outside of the pink column, and then from the outside of this beam to the outside of this bracket, and I'm within like 3/8 of an inch. Pretty surprising. That's way good for me or anybody building a lean-to. Good stuff. This is my little buddy with the effervescent, or I don't know if that's the right term, web. It changes colors like a CD when you put it in the sun. And he's green, but you can see through him. Really cool little spider. So the beams are up, and that was kind of almost the easy part. Now I gotta attach a ledger up here. And no matter which way I think I gotta do it, there's no flat surface. I got 2 little scraps I'm gonna get up there with the ladder. All right, so this is what I got. I want the new sheet metal to go right underneath this old sheet metal. That's as high as I can get it. I want to put on top of my rafters, I want to put a 1x, which is what this is. I'm sorry I'm shaking so much, I'm doing this in one hand. So I want to put a stringer across the wall right here, and it will clear the door flashing. I'm gonna have to cut a notch in it for this lip that's on this rake, no, this edge trim. So I don't have a table saw here. I got a skill saw. I could cut a groove top and bottom and maybe take the chainsaw and plow it out. I gotta do that for a whole 8-foot board. And then when I get over there, that'll be different, but I'm just working on this side right now. So I'm gonna cut a 8-foot 2x6. I'm gonna mark this. I'm gonna see if I can't plow it out. I don't even have a chisel with me, but I do have a chainsaw. So let's see what we can do. Okay, I got the 2x6 cut to length. I got it scribed with my little homemade scribe. It's all I had to work with. And I need to cut a bunch of rips out of it, I guess. And dig it. It's got knots, so it's not just gonna fall out easily. And I didn't bring any spare fuel for the generator, so hopefully it hangs on. It doesn't burn very much. I turned some gasoline into noise, and I made a bunch of rips, and where there were knots, I went ahead and just took it all the way down because I knew it wasn't gonna cooperate where there's a knot. But I'm hoping the rest of this I can just beat out with the hammer, or maybe with help with the chainsaw. I don't even have a screwdriver, I don't think. So I took out the screws that were in that flashing up top because they were gonna hold the board out, and I patched the holes with this red stuff that I had left over from yesterday, and I knew it was going to happen. I got it everywhere. I got it all over the ladder and all over my hands, so now I'll probably get it on my phone. It's yuck. But anyway, I think I'm ready to go up with the board. Plowed it with the skill saw. I got most of it out with the claw of the big hammer, and then I went back with the chainsaw, and the chainsaw actually did pretty good at just kind of knocking off all the little things that were sticking up everywhere. So if the other one goes as well as this one, we'll be all right. We are ledgered. We are ledgered this far. Now we need to go ledgered this far. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of the same thing. I've got to decide where to cut the groove, cut it with the saw a bunch of times, hit it with the hammer, and then chainsaw it out. But this is real snug, real strong, pretty happy with it. Got a whole lot of screws in it. I don't like, you know, these modern screws, they're tempered. You shouldn't side load a tempered screw because instead of bending, they'll snap. But I got so many of them in there, it'd be all right. The next one will be a little bit easier. The whole corner comes out. So I'll cut this 1/2 inch deep and then stand it up, and hopefully I can cut all the way down. We'll see. Okay, so we have a notch. Did 2 sides with the skill saw and finish it up with the chainsaw to get in that little corner. So we're gonna put it up, cross our fingers. Only have to put it up once. Let's see. Okay, we are 100% ledgered out. Time to mark and cut. Time to mark and cut rafters, and I have them in my truck. So maybe we'll get a couple of them up today. So I got a rafter pattern cut. Unfortunately, I've ruined this rafter because I cut the notch too far in. It's not as easy as you might guess. I can cut rafters with a speed square or a framing square, but when you don't know the slope and you're just trying to fit things up, every time you cut one end, you affect the other end. So we have a sacrifice here, and now I know how to cut them all. And I think I need 20 of them. I should have that many. Funny thing, the rafters are done at the exact same time I am. I'm done. I'll wrap up this video probably and finish it on another day. So smart like I am, we're probably gonna have shade just as winter comes along. Lose our sunshine. Oh well, what you gonna do with me? She still loves me.